It is a sunny but chilly Saturday afternoon in Baltimore for Old Spice College Lacrosse as the #2 Virginia Cavaliers pay a visit to Homewood Field to take on the #12 Johns Hopkins Blue Jays in a rivalry that dates all the way back to 1904. Hello and welcome to Old Spice College Lacrosse. I'm Eamon McEnany along with the All-American goalie out of Johns Hopkins, Quint Kesenick. Now, Quint, historically the Blue Jays have dominated this rivalry, but lately it's been all Virginia. 6 straight wins by the Cavs. What's been the biggest difference?
Cavs have been bigger, faster, and stronger. Most importantly, faster, dominated ground ball play, and they've scored a ton of goals in the series, averaging over 11 goals a game in those 6 wins.
Now, when you say athleticism and Virginia, the conversation has to begin with the Bratton twins.
Shamel and Ramel Bratton, senior midfielders from Long Island. Start with Shamel, new standard he is setting as a midfield dodger with 84 career goals. Change of direction is ridiculous. He's slippery, he's explosive. This lefty can do it all. He's flanked by his twin brother, Ramel, a right-hander. Versatility at both ends. Let's call him V squared. He's got a blend of speed, offensive capabilities. What I like this year is his sense of timing. He's having a very strong senior season. For Johns Hopkins, the storyline this year is their goalie, Pierce Bassett. Only a sophomore, yet leading the nation in save percentage at 68%. He's lanky, he's poised, the righty is from Arizona, and he's been a big reason why Johns Hopkins has 5 wins.
He is coming off a 16-save performance in the double overtime loss to Syracuse as we take a look at our impact players brought to you by Warrior.
John Ranigan, the straw that stirs this Hopkins drink. Rob Guida, he is explosive and quick from behind the net. I think he'll get some opportunities today. And there is Bassett with that stellar save percentage.
And for the visitors from Charlottesville, Steele Stanwyck, one of the best attackmen in the country.
He runs the show for Virginia. He's the quarterback of the offense. He's like having an assistant coach on the field. He plays the game, he refs the game, he does it all.
He grew up just blocks away, so a homecoming for him. And in the goal for Virginia, the senior out of Long Island, Adam Gittleman, 44-7, the all-time winningest goalie in the ACC.
Talked to their head coach, Dom Starrs. He says there's a sense of calm when we can look in the goal and see number 8, Adam Gittleman.
Virginia in the road orange, Johns Hopkins in the home white. It'll be Delente, number 4 for the Blue Jays. Benacasa, number 37 for Virginia on the opening faceoff. And we are underway at Homewood. Number 2 on the road to take on number 12. Still loose, picked up by Bocklett in Virginia. So the Cavs go to work first, and as soon as I say it, Bocklett with an errant pass right out of his stick. Virginia, coached by Dom Starrs in his 19th season, 4 wins away from passing our colleague Jack Emmer as the winningest coach in Division I lacrosse history.
Thought it was interesting when he talked about his defense this year. Says we're getting by as opposed to getting better. Still a work in progress on the defensive end.
Looking for improvement, especially off the ball. So John Ranigan has it in his stick over to Guida. Now, Quint, last week in Syracuse, the political correct term was a deliberate attack. What should we expect from the Blue Jays here today against Virginia?
A deliberate attack, but Virginia will force you to go to the goal by overplaying on the perimeter. Really, the tempo in this game is controlled by Virginia, not Johns Hopkins. Does Virginia step out and press their matchups and force Hopkins to go to the goal?
This is Zach Palmer being guarded by the short stick, really with a step-down opportunity. Had to make sure he still had it.
That was a promising little scenario for Johns Hopkins. Couple keys for the Blue Jays. Ground balls. You've got to flood the ball with numbers and then limit unsettled situation, transition, and restart goals. Keep this a conventional half-field game.
Here's Greeley. Quinn, it sounds so simple. Ground balls are important. We hear it every game, every level. Why so important in this game?
Because ground balls determine possessions, and I'm of the opinion that both teams are going to be able to score some goals today.
Really looking to get inside LaPierre. No angle. LaPierre stands tall on the defensive end in a matchup of 2 sophomore midfielders.
And LaPierre lets Greeley know about the defense. I tell you talk about a guy who can stand toe-to-toe with anyone in the country. On the defensive end of the field, that's number 44 in orange, Chris LaPierre.
Sophomore out of New Jersey, so now Virginia on the clear.
A couple of Virginia keys, perimeter pressure on defense. Hound the Hopkins ball carriers. and then win the one-on-one matchups all over the field, whether it's defense one-on-one, face-offs one-on-one, at the midfield with a guy like Ramel Bratton, or even in the goal. Virginia wants to make this a one-on-one style game.
So Chris Clements there getting stuck in foreign territory, and the Blue Jays coming up with another turnover. 2 early giveaways by the Cavs. This is Tucker Durkin, number 51, the sophomore out of the Philadelphia area. Now Leitner not getting picked up. Leitner right down Charles Street and scores!
Sniff it out at the midfield line. Afterburners on. It's about a 30-yard sprint. Defense, no respect. Turn and rake. Good start for Hopkins. Last time we saw them on this field, they fell behind Princeton 3-0 and looked flat and not ready to play at an elite level. Today, different story.
The sophomore from Baltimore. Now Delente quickly wins the faceoff. Drops it off to Boland. Here's a shot and a goal! Phil Castronova, normally a defensive specialist, rips one in the upper 90. The Blue Jays are out and running at Homewood.
A new wrinkle for Hopkins this year. Delente's success parlayed into transition opportunities. I love the trailer break. Boland eyes up. He spots Castronova coming off the wing of the faceoff, and the freshman pops that one right in the corner. Gorgeous shot. Good eye work by Boland. Delente, a big storyline this season.
Much improved. Third best faceoff percentage in the country, just over 70%. So 2 defensive players coming up with 2 goals 8 seconds apart. So much for what pace Johns Hopkins wants to play with here today. Delente with another win. Now Boland, the senior. He is the quarterback of the attack for Johns Hopkins. He and Kyle Wharton coming off 0-point efforts against Syracuse. Delente, he wanted to pull that trigger right there. So Coach Petromala stressing that he needs to get more out of his veteran attackman.
It's also interesting the way he mentioned that last week against Syracuse, very deliberate, but the kids kind of lost the will to attack because they're being so patient. And he wants them to kind of walk that tightrope. Let's be deliberate, but know when good opportunity arises.
The message to us that he's been relaying to his players all week: we need to stand toe-to-toe against the number 2 team in the country. And then he stressed we have to stand toe-to-toe with them. Here's another shot by Burkhardt. Gittleman ready for this high-to-high one. So he gets a save under his belt. Now LaPierre on the clear. So Virginia back on its heels early on the road against Johns Hopkins at Homewood Field.
Shamel Bratton's made a career out of scoring against Johns Hopkins. The first 10 or so minutes of this ball game are critical. When Shamel gets off to a good start, look out. He's typically on fire throughout the game. Stop him early, you can win that matchup.
13 career goals in 4 games against Johns Hopkins. The Blue Jays have seen nothing but his A game in his career. This is Mark Cockerton being guarded by Lee Coppersmith. And Tackman being guarded by a short stick. Cockerton loses him, gets a step. Tough angle, saved by Bassett. Durkin sends it back to Bassett. Now over midfield. This is Burkhardt. Rannigan comes on the field and gets the ball as the Blue Jays make substitutions. Here's Greeley. Guida being guarded by Ramel Bratton. Very good defensive player. He'll be on Virginia's man down unit. Here's Guida going to his left. Rannigan on the 2-man game. Good recovery by Malfris. Rannigan hits the deck. Malfris with the takeaway. Malfris with a step. Guida closing quickly. And he gets it to Cockerton. Here's Stanwyck, the junior All-American. 32 points on the season. Get the screen from Bachlet. Bachlet now is a short stick behind. Not normally a Dodger, but this is a midfielder and Guida guarding him now. LaPierre keeps going, keeps charging. Loses it. Good defense by Greeley and Durkin on the double team, but Stanwyck there for the ground ball. Shamel Bratton has not forced anything so far. Now he has it being guarded by Guida. This is a mismatch. Makes a nice pass. Bachlet there. That one hit a pipe. And Rannigan picks it up on the rebound. Rannigan running right at the Brattons. Slows it up. And it looks like Shamel Bratton might be hurt.
Huge break for Johns Hopkins. Virginia rattles the ball off the post. Rannigan with an athletic move to capture that ground ball.
This is Coppersmith out of Florida.
I like the play by Virginia. Shamel Bratton sensing that Hopkins is going to send their early double. He did a move. Boom, his eyes popped right up. Great feed to the wing.
So now Madick on the invert being guarded by LaPierre. Forces the switch. There's a shot by Wharton. That hit a pipe. He is a lefty sniper. Quick feed inside on the restart.
We got two refs pointing in different directions, gentlemen.
Yeah, it looked like they said Hopkins ball, but Adam Gittleman tried to steal a possession there. So now they're going to talk it over. Our three officials today, Tom Young, Brian Abbott, and Scott Rayburn.
Scott Rayburn on the far side had a pushing violation. Tommy Young on the near side, number 11, had a crease violation. We'll talk it over.
So it'll be Johns Hopkins ball with a 2-0 lead. The Blue Jays coached by Dave Petramala. In his 11th season, 118 wins at his alma mater.
What was his response when you asked him, Coach, about the dive or no dive crease call last week up in Syracuse?
Kyle Wharton with the apparent game-winning goal in overtime wiped out for a crease violation. As Goodrich turns the corner there, it was my first question on the conference call, and he said, I have no thought on that call.
It was classic.
Turning the page.
Wide awake at 8 in the morning.
He's ready to go. And his team has been ready to go so far in this one. We had a surprise already down the road at College Park. Well, we have another one as Zach Palmer gets the shot off. That's his first shot all year, not on cage. He was 19 for 19 coming in.
Tell you, Bobby Hill, when you're in a shutoff situation behind the goal and you're the defensive player and you sense a shot coming, well, Bobby Hill just took a 3-step head start towards the end line. Smart play. Possession for his team.
Savvy play for the rookie out of Malvern Prep in Philadelphia. Now this is Briggs, who has come alive lately for the Cavs. Now Stanwyck. So Shamel Bratton back out there. This is Rob Emery now, the talented freshman from St. Ignatius Prep in San Francisco. Briggs taking her own at Goodrich. Back to his right. Well, this is respect. They have Jack Riley, their talented freshman close defenseman, number 43 on Shamel Bratton. The two-man game from behind. Matt White, Cochran doesn't like the shot. So now Emery. He got his hands free, but on the wrong side of the net.
Very, very good defense. You force a freshman to a weak-angled alley shot. Hopkins sticking to their man-to-man so far, packing it in tight. Bassett will handle the rest.
Everything going according to plan right now for the Blue Jays as Rannigan touches it up in the box. As we approach the 5.5-minute mark. I can't imagine the Cavaliers have had too many droughts like this to start a game or at any point during a game.
Well, it's not like they're dusting people and blowing people off the field. I mean, you look at their season, close game with Drexel, close loss up in the Carrier Dome, close win against Ohio State, needed overtime to get by Stony Brook. So it's not like they've been this juggernaut this year.
But they do lead the country in 14.5 goals per game, as Shamel Bratton there showed off his defensive prowess with the takeaway check, and now his brother being guarded by Ori Michael. This is John Haldy, the senior out of Philadelphia, being guarded by the freshman Castronova, who already has a goal. Here's Stanwyck. Stanwyck looking for the feed. Bachlet makes the catch. Gets the lefty shot off. That one hit a pipe, or maybe Bassett got a piece of it. Leitner with the good ground ball, but he throws it away back into the middle of the field. So Virginia goes to work again.
First of all, a really well-scripted two-man play. Bachlet and Stanwyck. That's a visual thing where Bachlet curls inside, steps away from the defense. It's a spot feed. Good ground ball by Leitner. You got to circle away from traffic.
Mark Cochran gets his right hand off and puts it right into the stick of Bassett.
These aren't great shots.
That one was an easy save.
These are not great shots.
Now Castronova. He's already shown off the lefty cannon once, but he doesn't like the numbers here, and he drops it off to Greeley.
So far, Virginia's shot selection, poor. Weak angle shots, low velocity. They're not changing the plane of the shot. Basically, everything you could do wrong as a shooter, you've seen so far.
Now, is that more because of them or what the Johns Hopkins defense has given them?
I think it's because the players who have shot for the most part. Shamel, nothing. Ramel, nothing. Bachlet, one look. Stanwyck, no looks. So Hopkins is doing a nice job funneling the ball to some of the complementary players.
Here's Palmer, up to Goodrich. Number 28 is Marshall Burkhart, the junior out of Ohio. He draws a slide. Bolin thought about stuffing it inside. Instead, now Palmer.
Set a key there, draws the slide. Can Hopkins actually beat their man on the perimeter and force Virginia's defense to slide? Because the Cavs don't typically want to go early.
Goodrich down the alley on Ramel Bratton. He got a shot off, couldn't put it on Cage.
A great example of a defense that leaves their defender out on an island on the perimeter. There was no slide. Goodrich was able to carry that ball into about 8 yards.
Coach Petramala telling us this week they do not like to slide. Lovejoy on Bolin. And there's a flag. We'll have our first penalty of the ball game. Lovejoy's going to the penalty box, number 40. I guess it was away from the ball and not on Lovejoy. It's on Scott McWilliams, the freshman out of New Jersey.
Bolin, the natural right-hander, gets tied up. You called it in. That is good defense by number 40, Matt Lovejoy.
That was not the penalty, so my bad on that one. It must, like I said, away from the ball on the freshman Scott McWilliams. So the bad news for Virginia is it's a man down. The good news for Dom Starsia, his team's man down. 2 for 32 against the Cavaliers when you have an extra man. That is mind-boggling numbers so far. They pressure the ball despite being down a man, and they have excellent speed on this unit, led by number 3, Ramel Bratton. But Goodrich is left all alone. Miscommunication on the restart. It's 3-0 Cavaliers. Excuse me, Blue Jays.
Virginia wants to play physical, big boy lacrosse today. And the only way that Hopkins can make them pay is if they convert on the extra man. It's been a challenge this year. It's a Virginia group that's been very organized, flying around, making plays on their man-down defense. Gittleman to the splits, too easy for Goodrich. That was a subtle change of formation off the restart on the end line, which caused a momentary confusion.
Violation on Benacasa, so another possession for the Blue Jays. Under 2 minutes to play now in the first quarter.
Delente turnaround player of the year after a subpar season last year. Changed the rules. This kid has been unstoppable this year. It's Manhattan, won 15 of 16 draws.
Virginia on the cusp of going scoreless for a quarter for the first time this season. So much focus on tempo and pace leading up to this ball game with under a minute 30 to play in the quarter and a 3-0 lead. What would you expect from Hopkins on this possession? A tough pass through a lot of sticks.
A look away, tough pass. Nice job by the goaltender here.
Stays in bounds. Can't split the double team. And it'll stay.
I tell you, those are the little skirmishes and the little scraps that in the last 6 meetings between these two teams, Virginia has won. That case, not true.
The NCAA Hockey Championships presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car on ESPNU continues tonight with 2 regional finals. And Greeley rips the net. It's 4-0 Johns Hopkins.
Little wing dodge by Greeley. Head and shoulder fake. Creates separation and enough of an angle. The reason this dodge works, watch his feet and his hands. Just a little subtle right to left shift of his body. And he approaches LaPierre upfield so that when he does cut to his left, he leaves himself with some goal. The mistake that young players make there is they do that dodge and end up behind the net.
He now has 7 on this season for 14 points. Another face-off win by the senior captain, Delente.
Talk about body language right now. Guys in white and Columbia blue on their tippy toes, celebrating every little play. Guys in orange, not so much.
If we were doing a Columbia game, would you call it Hopkins blue?
It's Columbia blue, is the official school color there.
It's just having fun with you. It's also the color of Columbia University there, Quint.
Is it really?
Getting a little sensitive there.
Certainly not Carolina blue there, Eamon.
Well, it was a big day in the state of Maryland for the North Carolina lacrosse team as we approach 20 seconds left.
And a good example to bring up, a game that Maryland jumped out to, I believe, a 4-0 lead. Stick penalty on the Terps, and next thing you know, games can change momentum extremely fast.
The NCAA Hockey Championships presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car on ESPNU continues tonight with 2 finals. At 6:30 Eastern, the 3-seed Minnesota Duluth takes on overall #1 seed Yale in the East Regional Final. Then at 9 Eastern, the 4-seed Colorado College faces off against Michigan in the West Regional Final. Goodrich with a shot there, and that ends the quarter. And you can paint that quarter all Columbia blue as the Blue Jays came out flying. Dom Starsh's club has to regroup. Number 12 Hopkins with a 4-goal lead after 1. Back here in Baltimore, getting set for the second quarter. The first quarter, all Johns Hopkins with 4 goals, and it started with some unlikely sources of offense.
On the just a standard clear Chris Leitner with that long pole, not picked up by a Virginia defense content to let him take that shot. Never easy for a goalie to pick up the ball out of that long pole. Off the face-off, Castronova from Boland. 2-0 Jays. Goodrich would score from Palmer on the extra man, and then Greeley unassisted.
So Virginia shut out for a quarter for the first time this season. Delente winning 4 of the 5 faceoffs, so Virginia making a switch. Garrett Ince now taking the draw, number 15 for Dom Starsh's club. As we start the second quarter. And the call goes against Ince, so that adjustment doesn't work as Delente is locked in for this one so far.
Ince has one move, and that could have been a call where he used his elbow to pinch the head of his lacrosse stick, which is a no-no this year in college lacrosse. Delente in the heads of the face-off specialists and the coaching staff.
Speaking of the coaching staff, Coach Petramala giving his first-year assistant Jamison Kester plenty of credit for Matt Delente's improvement this year. Blue-collar approach to the face-off. He said, now Guida, the freshman out of Chatham, New Jersey, turns back. Coming around, Boland, he hits the deck. Not much of a shot there as LaPierre wins the race to the end line. All right, Quint, you're coaching Virginia. You just got lit up for 4. You're back on your heels. What's your message during the timeout?
Virginia's answer to everything and anything has always been turn up the pressure, whether it's defensive pressure or offensive pressure. And I think they have to start extending on some of these matchups, create some tempo in this ball game, get the ball to your primary goal scorer, number 1, Shamel Bratton. He has not had enough touches.
Here's his brother, number 3, Ramel Bratton. He gets it to the attack in Stanwick. Virginia, number 2, 7-1, the 1 loss on the road to Syracuse. Here's Shamel looking to get his hands free. Leitner all over him, and then he coughs it up.
The unforced errors.
That's how the game started for Virginia. Back off the opening faceoff, Chris Bachlin had it fall out of his stick and go out of bounds.
Someone's got to work back for the ball here if you're a Johns Hopkins midfielder. Tell you, sloppy ball handling. That ball just rolls off the top of the cross of Shamel Bratton's stick. There's a moment of indecision there where he's not sure if he's going to pass or fake.
Mike Madek's got to get it in the box, and he does. So 30 seconds to get it in the box, and now they get a shot attempt, but did they call timeout? The timeout before the shot and goal by Kyle Wharton, and you see Dave Petramala saying, that's on me. No argument at all.
Let them play. They're feeling it. And you see the look. Hopkins had to earn every second of that clear. Just a classic example in this era of coaching.
Let's just listen in and see when we hear the whistle.
The call was made up by the midfield line. And I understand why the call was made by Coach Petramala.
That's about the only thing that hasn't gone Johns Hopkins' way so far. The Blue Jays up 4 on Virginia. Two storied programs that are always thinking championship when they roll the balls out in January practice. The first meeting between Virginia and Johns Hopkins back in 1904. You see Johns Hopkins with a big-time edge, but Virginia recently has dominated with 6 straight wins. So now the Blue Jays out of the timeout. See if Virginia tries to up the tempo defensively. Come out and create some turnovers. LaPierre backs off Greeley. Now Greeley, no call on that. That's pretty surprising that something wasn't called, as LaPierre ran over Palmer on the pick. So now Palmer will invert LaPierre. So they try to get a long stick on the sophomore attackman out of Canada.
4-0 lead. I know the tendency here is to put your fingerprint and your imprint on this game offensively, but this was a Hopkins team that was rolling, and now all of a sudden they look like they're playing a little.
Brannigan gets a step on Malfris. Too high on the shot.
You got to run your streaks. You got to maximize your streaks. Keep it rolling while you're hot.
So Greeley from the wing again on LaPierre. Shake and bake, hands free. Gittleman had it all along. Clemens with the catch.
That was a tremendous change-up from the dodge he did earlier in the game, where he dodged to the goal line extended to his left. Same move, same approach, same footwork, except whoop, pop to his right, top side.
Ramel cannot find Bachlin as he lost his man. So another turnover by the Cavs. Tonight at 11:30 Eastern on ESPNU, the NCAA Hockey Championships presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car continues with the Northeast Regional Semifinal. It's the 3-seed Notre Dame takes on the 2-seed Merrimack. Very exciting hockey on the U last night. Yale in overtime, Michigan with a controversial win, and Colorado College upsetting Boston College. Still trying to figure out how they came up with that ruling in the Michigan game, but the Wolverines will certainly take it and advance.
That is an offsides violation. Restart right here. Danger.
Bachlin has 2 guys to choose from. He goes to the middle of the field, and what a save by Bassett.
Tell you, sometimes you get lucky when you go down to that offside low save and your butt end comes up. He makes that save with his left hand or butt end.
Take another look.
Looks like he got it with that low glove, with the low side glove.
Here's Briggs. That one not on cage. Briggs has certainly become a major factor for the Cavaliers lately. Dom Stars is still looking for his Cavaliers to get on the board. This is uncharted waters for Virginia. Almost 10.5 minutes left in the second quarter to have a goose egg up on the scoreboard. Now Stanwyck. Here's Schimmel, being guarded by Riley. Briggs draws Castronova, gets underneath, moves to the left, too high.
Tell you, Briggs likes that matchup. He ran by Castronova like he was standing still.
On the quick restart up top, Schimmel coming down. Roll back to the right. This is when he's dangerous, but a good recovery check by Riley sends that one sailing into the parking lot.
Schimmel, a natural left-hander, would prefer to let it rip lefty, but a good recovery, as you pointed out. That's why the defenders have those long poles.
Miscommunication. We're going to get a moving pick call here, it looks like.
Interference by Johns Hopkins.
So why did...
Because they pushed the offensive player into the crease.
That's why I thought it would have been on Virginia, because they blew the whistle while Stanwyck still had the ball. But as you pointed out, Bachlet ends up in the crease. And there it is right there at the bottom of your screen.
Durkin deflects Virginia player into the crease.
So Virginia goes to work with the extra man, 18 of 31 on the season. Look out for number 10, Chris Bachlet. He has 9 of Virginia's 18 extra man goals. Here's White. Bachlet right in the middle on the crease. It's very sloppy, and Hopkins looking to take advantage of it. But the call goes against the Blue Jays.
If you're Virginia, you just got to play your way through the sloppiness right now.
Virginia looking distracted on this extra man. As soon as I say that, Steele Stanwyck comes up with an absolute dart of a pass to Matt White, and the Cavaliers are on the board.
Keystone Cops for most part of that extra man, and as the penalty is being expired and the Hopkins player is coming in from the midfield line, gutsy pass by Stanwyck, zips that ball through traffic, puts it to only where White can catch it. And the key there is for two players to understand the passing lanes and where the sticks are, where that ball can fit through, and how can I best catch and show body control and finish. There's a lot of trust there. There are passes there that are practiced hours and hours and hours.
So now a third face-off man out there for Virginia as Hopkins won. No, it's still Ince. Hopkins wanted a violation call, but it doesn't matter as Castronova comes up and gets it ahead to Delente. 4-on-3, Delente holding on to it. Can't put it on the net. Wharton there for the backup. So Hopkins certainly pushing it off the face-offs.
Delente realizes that he has the green light. Virginia's defense, they're staying locked down low on the attack. So they will let him carry in and take a shot.
They are lobbying the officials. They thought Ince violated on that one. The entire coaching staff wanted a call right away as soon as that faceoff started. Now Palmer backs up, looking to get an angle on Clemens. Coppersmith, Goodrich, and Maydick, your middies out there, along with Boland, Palmer, and Wharton. Palmer to Goodrich, the bounce shot.
One of the offensive keys for Bob Benson and this Hopkins group, make Virginia play defense away from the ball. Move them, force their roles to change. You see top of your screen, all the activity in front of the goal.
Robbie Benson, the offensive coordinator for the Blue Jays, a former All-American here for Johns Hopkins. Billy Dwan runs the defense. And you mentioned off the ball. That's where the youth has shown up for Virginia on the defensive end. Trying to replace Ken Clausen and Ryan Nizelek. So now Goodrich will take a run at LaPierre from behind. setting up the pick. And there's a flag on Clements. We heard that one up in the front row. I think that one's called more on volume than actual contact. Pierre bodying up Goodrich.
Flirting with multiple fouls here.
Ramel whacking away at that one. Virginia takes it out of the box. Here our official saying he got him on the glove. But Clements did it.
By rule, it doesn't matter where you get him. You get him on the glove, you can get him on the arm. You could miss entirely. It's the way you swing your stick, by definition.
Here's the penalty.
Right
that
there
one's on thigh.
On the right thigh. Good call, good angle.
There were a couple more free whacks there that were not called.
There were.
So Hopkins cashed in last time with Goodrich.
Surprising to hear that coming from a defender.
That was the middies. They can get called for. Now Greeley up to Bowen. Feet inside again, but they're ready for it. And now Paul, they go in and out of the crease to give it right back. So McWilliams, the freshman,
frustration
right
for Virginia. This is the right call. As a defender, when you gain possession outside the crease, you have to stay out of the crease.
Now Greeley thought he wanted to take the shot before the ball was in his stick. Meltzer out on him. There's a big hit by Lovejoy. And Greeley's down. So Lovejoy knows it's on him. He's going to the box. Let's take another look at this one.
Seems like a weekly occurrence for Virginia this year.
This one's getting chippy. There's no doubt about it. Down on the field, both teams are yelling at each other.
Greeley had his head down, scooping the ball. Very much a danger position. Head-to-head contact is the reason that's fouled. The helmet of number 40, Lovejoy, watch the helmet. Helmet-to-helmet contact. We saw a hit earlier in the Maryland game, the Maryland-North Carolina game, that to me was a textbook how to hit somebody today that was flagged. That to me, Eamon, the only thing I could see there is that the head was a little high under the chin. The head and neck area are off limits entirely. This is not college football. And if you're going to play it like college football, well, then we need to put college football helmets on. That is a monster shot, a kill shot. And I know Lovejoy's intent was not to injure, but when Greeley's head's down like that, you really have to take into account that the head and the neck of your opponent.
All right, so give me a teaching point here for the young player. What's he supposed to do? Just stick check?
All he had to do there was just drop a little lower.
So a 2-minute penalty.
Point of emphasis this year, and it's good to see Greeley on his feet. You know, the last thing lacrosse needs right now are concussions to run rampant in this sport, or a neck injury that leads to paralysis and or death of an athlete that would curtail the wonderful growth that this sport is seeing nationwide at the high school and the youth league level. If lacrosse is not safe, then that prohibits growth. And this game is a showcase for every high school and youth league player in the nation. And so it's imperative that these college coaches and players take it upon themselves to play within the rules and to set the right example.
Certainly hope John Greeley will be all right as he gets helped off to the sideline. And now remember, Virginia was already a man down to begin with. So this will be a 2-man advantage for 35 seconds. So a huge moment in the first half right here. Already with a 3-goal lead. And emotions starting to get picked up right now. You hear Dom Starger say, get on 42. That is Kyle Wharton. He is a very accurate and hard shooter. Skip pass up top, hands free, Bolin blows it past Gittleman.
It's a helpless feeling. Pinpoint passing. A lot of control. The fans have not had a seat here once this game has gotten started. Palmer realizes that the defense stretches to Wharton. That opens up a seam. Boland shoots straight overhand to the offside pipe. You talk about radical improvement in, 3 weeks? This Hopkins team run off this field by Princeton. Here they are a couple weeks later, 5-1. Who knows what to believe?
There's been a crazy year, to say the least, in college lacrosse. So now LaPierre out there for the face-off against Delente. Again, Virginia still down a man as Lovejoy stays in the box. Great check there by Ramel Bratton. So now LaPierre and the Cavaliers looking to run out almost 80 seconds of a man down. So this is Briggs.
That was a huge check off that face-off lane.
Again, Coach Starr just says Ramel Bratton does not get enough credit for his overall IQ and lacrosse savviness. Now Briggs trying to run away from the double team, now trying to split it.
If you're Hopkins, you don't want to be over-aggressive.
Will he shoot and score? A man down goal from Colin Briggs. A big-time momentum swing started from Bratton, and then Briggs ends it.
This is where good intention gets the best of you as a defender. You're chasing the road runner. You're not going to catch Briggs. He's the fastest man on this field. Not the time for an over-the-head check. Right here, watch this. Whoop, right here. Not the time. Take the body. Briggs has 12 goals this season. One of the most improved players in the nation.
8 in his last 3 in almost a half game. So now LaPierre again with another face-off, and there he gets called for a violation as he just stood up before the ball was even down. So again, Johns Hopkins with the extra man. Face-off domination continues. Palmer to Wharton. Trying to improve that angle for the southpaw out of Philly. Here he is. He steps into one, drops it off to Palmer instead. What a pass! Did Gittleman get them? Yes, he did.
What a save.
Hopkins was celebrating a goal. It sounded like a goal, but Gittleman.
Well, that was his stick. Ball hit off his stick, obviously, and makes contact. I thought it was a goal. I thought there was no way he could make that stop.
We saw a similar play by John Galloway against these Virginia Cavaliers as we take another look.
Backside feed. Oh, that he robs him. Absolutely robs him. You never want to quit on a backside shot. Could be a spark for the Cavs.
This could be a huge 2-goal swing. They already have a man down goal. This is Nick O'Reilly, number 29. Lovejoy back on the field on the defensive side. O'Reilly gets a step and feeds Bocklett. It's 5-3. The momentum has swung.
This is a kid who's really coming on for Virginia. Nick O'Reilly, only a sophomore. Rockville Center, Long Island. Presses left-handed, eyes are up, and this is just a blown coverage by Hopkins off the ball.
Nick O'Reilly to Bocklett. O'Reilly, the 2-time Nassau County Attackman of the Year on Long Island.
Not sure what's going on in terms of the reset.
We're throw people out.
There's really no such thing. I guess the refs can do whatever they want there, but
when Ants comes up with the automatic fast break, and he shoots. That one was easy as Bassett read him going down low. So now we have numbers the other way. Delente in the middle of the field, and Castronova drops it off to the attack.
If somebody moves early or lines up in incorrect position, that is a violation. Now, if they both line up incorrectly, what are you going to do?
Guess we just have a do-over, like on the street. So Hopkins with the ball and a 2-goal lead, but no doubt Virginia's back into this ball game. So a critical possession now in the second quarter.
You mentioned hockey there, but if both guys do line up in the neutral zone and the ref doesn't like it, I like what you say. Get them out of there. Get me 2 more guys, and they must come from the wing.
Here's Coppersmith. Hands free. What a bullet.
Florida's fastest and finest. Coppersmith straight right to left. And a critical goal as Virginia was starting to take control. Stutter step, split dodge right there. Just a little change of speed, change of direction. Frees up his hands and shoots to the far post. Just an outside rip. It was Dave Petramalo who told us, I guess it was about the 09 version of this rematch. He said we had to go in at halftime and take the gloves off. Well, the gloves were off when this game started.
6 goals from 6 different players for the Jays. Ince won it forward on Rannigan now on that face-off, and he comes up with the ball right there. And Virginia takes a timeout, down by 3 with 3:55 to play in the half. Virginia had momentum, but Coppersmith had the answer. Welcome back. We take a look back to 2005, and Matt Ward, you might want to look away. It started as Virginia rallied to take a 7-6 lead, but then lightning delay stopped play for 45 minutes. The sun came out, and so did Kyle Harrison as he ties it up at 7-all. And here's Matt Ward, our colleague, the future Tewaaraton Trophy winner, with the go-ahead goal.
That was a game winner, right?
Game winner, no. Somehow Greg Pizer wins the faceoff, and Jake Byrne ties it up with just seconds left to send it in overtime. And then Benson Irwin ends it, giving Johns Hopkins the 9-8 victory. They would go on to win the national championship over Duke. But a thrilling win
soap
by the
opera.
Blue Jays on their way to the national championship.
Absolute soap opera semifinal game.
That, though, is the last time they knocked off Virginia, as it's been all Dom Starsh's club since. 6-0 over the Blue Jays since that loss.
Talked about their overall team speed. It shows up in the ground ball differential. A +7 per game. 7 extra possessions they have earned per game in the series. Typically, games here at Homewood have been close. Virginia's prevailed. Games anywhere else have gotten kind of ugly.
Here's Ramel Bratton drawing the double team. The offense has come alive. Briggs gets a step inside. Bassett got just enough to keep it out of the goal. Here's Bassett has come up with a couple big-time saves in this first half. Dangerous passes. Stanwyck converges on him on the ride.
Tell you, Hopkins,
this is danger time. Bassett backpedaling.
They're running people off the field to try to substitute.
Donovan there to bail him out. Now they got to get in the box. Here's Ben Smith, the grad student out of Harvard, to Wharton.
Tell you, off of the inbounds clear to timeout Dave Petramalo and Hopkins. Hopkins, they're running their defensive specialists off the field, and they're not staying relative to the ball. Bassett is forced to run himself out of trouble.
We'll be back to Homewood right after this. Dave Petramalo fired up with a 3-goal lead. This one closer to the edge than expected by the pundits and experts this week. Dave Petramalo's ball club with the 3-goal lead and the ball with 3:03 left to play in the first half.
Who knows what to think these days? See North Carolina on Tuesday, struggle with Dartmouth for 3 quarters. Kind of say to myself, you know, I think Maryland's probably going to take that game. They go 4-0, game over, right? Not so fast. North Carolina Tar Heels behind Nicky Galasso come back today and win a big game down at Bird Stadium. 6
points for the freshman out of West Islip. You talk about Duke looking on fire last week in Chapel Hill.
They're up now, late.
They had come from behind, and there's a goal by Coppersmith again. Execution out of the timeout, and Adam Gilman's club down by 4.
It's amazing how a game plan can differ so much from week to week. Last week it was rope-a-dope. Hopkins goes to the stall. This week, we're coming at you. Coppersmith right-handed this time. He runs well. I'm tell you, look at those strides. His ability to shoot on the run. Gettleman drops the hands for a moment. Can't find the ball coming out of a moving target.
Should be interesting on this face-off. See what Ince does, because the Hopkins coaching staff has made the officials very aware they think he's violating, but no whistle there. And Delente wins it back. Good ground ball check by Malfris. Ince can't come up with it, so we're going the other way.
Every coach on every team at every game thinks every face-off is a violation.
The face-off is a mess. The quote that will live in infamy from John Desko a year ago. They've made significant changes to it this year. Some coaches just say, hey, you know what? Let's just give it to the team that gave up the goal and start like it's a clear. Eliminate the face-off.
I love face-offs. They add an element of transition and unsettled goals. It's an exciting play. Can be a heart-stopping play. Think about last year's national championship game. C.J. Costabile popping the face-off in sudden victory overtime, and what an exciting play that was.
Here's Maiden getting the pick from Palmer, and there's a call. Interference, the hip check from the Canadian.
Pick rules in lacrosse identical to what they are in basketball.
There's Ramel coming down the alley, then he puts on the brakes, moves it over to his brother. Shamel Bratton being guarded by Smith. Looking for the rollback. Now down to his right, shot off Bassett. They're frustrating the Brattons. Normally he likes to roll back to his left. Less than 80 seconds to play in the half. Donovan loses it.
So this is going to be the long-term issue that needs to be addressed, the clearing game.
Bassett moves it along to Durkin. There's a long pass to Smith. He gets it in the box. So will Hopkins hold for one with a minute left? Rannigan can't split the double team. Ground ball picked up by Clements.
Johns Hopkins out of timeouts.
Clements drops it off to Stanwyck. Stanwyck gives it back to the long stick, who just shoots it high. That was a nice catch and shoot.
You love that as a defender.
I do reward the big fella, just like in basketball.
Hey, if you're going to run hard from goal to goal, that's exactly right. Give him the rock.
Now Haldy with 39. That was a sweet pass, right where it needed to be.
And I like the fact that Clements, a former midfielder, he can handle the twig.
Pick play. O'Reilly didn't like his angle, so he gives it up to Stanwyck with 25. Now Stanwyck being guarded by a short stick Goodrich with 22. Stanwyck looking to feed inside. Now he goes to goal. Good ball movement. Big pop there at goal line extended. Durkin comes up with it with 13. So a good defensive stand by the Blue Jays to end the first half. So the Blue Jays dominate most of the action in the first half and take a 4-goal lead into the locker room. Coming up on the Warrior Halftime Report, it's Sports Center U with Lowell Galindo. We'll have highlights of North Carolina's win over Maryland. We'll take a look to the ahead to the hockey championships, and we'll have a Warrior Pro Summit, the top players in the game, and of course highlights from this one. Our score at the half: Johns Hopkins 7, Virginia 3. Now let's join Lowell Galindo in the studio. Welcome back to the Warrior Halftime Report, and it's halftime here at Homewood Field between Johns Hopkins and Virginia. Now let's join Quint Kesenick for today's Warrior Pro Summit on the top players in the game.
This halftime report is presented by Warrior. All hail.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Warrior Summit. We are talking lacrosse excellence with some of the superstars of the game. We got Ned Crotty, Jeff Snyder, Matt Danowski, and Ken Clausen. Our topic today, who is the best player in the history of Major League Lacrosse? And, Jeff, I'm going to throw that out to you as the elder statesman of the group.
You got to go with Gary Gait. I mean, he's won everything that you can win in lacrosse. If you look back to starting in Canada with Minto Cups, Man Cups, and then to the NCAA championships and World Championships and obviously MLL championships.
He's won MLL championships as a player and a coach, but you could argue that there were some others, like a guy like Casey Powell, who could argue to be the best in the game.
Yeah, for me, I think Casey really put the league over the top. I mean, he owns the points record. I mean, it seems like he's just been the consummate best player wherever he's been for, as long as I've ever seen him play.
Ken, is there a defenseman maybe that jumps out at you when you were growing up, who you patterned your game after?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, it's hard to deny that Brody Merrills was a name that you constantly heard. Very good at taking away the ball, bringing it upfield, and being an offensive player as well as defensive, master.
Ned, New Jersey native, grew up when the New Jersey Pride was a franchise in the league.
Yeah, but I'd have to still probably say, all three of the Powells, all three had different games, and, all were very successful, as well as Gary Gait. And, lots of times when you talk about players in other professional sports, you talk about how many rings they have. And when you look at, the Powells and Gary Gait, they've got every award there is. So, and if that's how you're going to gauge success, I think those guys are some of the best.
Who can be the next Gary Gait? Who's the next star of the next 5 or 10 years?
Probably Sidney Crosby.
Nice.
That's tough. I mean, to project someone now to live up to those standards, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I don't think there is a next Gary Gait. Like there's not going to be a next Michael Jordan, but I think someone who's obviously won championships and put himself in a position like that is guys say Paul Rabel. I mean, from world championships, and he hasn't got an MLL one yet, but college championships, he's the next guy who's got rings almost over his fingers.
One thing that stands out for me, Major League Lacrosse, it's tough to win a championship now. I mean, it's not like there's 1 or 2 good teams. There's 5 or 6. The entire league is very, very tough. I mean, there's no free wins.
Well, championship weekend is one of the harder things to do in sports, to turn it around and play realistically 2 games at full tilt in 24 hours. It's a really hard thing to do in sports. It's not an easy task by any means.
Interesting to hear the opinions of these superstars. Hope you enjoyed this version of the Warrior Summer.
Welcome back to Old Spice College Lacrosse from Baltimore, Maryland. The number 12 Johns Hopkins Blue Jays with a dominating first half lead. The number 2 Virginia Cavaliers 7-3 as we are moments away from the start of the third quarter. Eamon McEnany along with Quint Kesenick. And Quint, according to plan for the Blue Jays.
Entertaining game. The goal by Greeley made it 4-0 at the end of the first quarter. Big time pop. John Greeley out for the rest of this game, head injury, but a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. Pierce Bassett's been spectacular. Hopkins' ball movement has been snappy. Their shooting has been opportunistic. 5-1 bowling from Palmer on the extra man.
And then the man-down goal from Briggs that looked like it had momentum going the Cavaliers' way, but Lee Coppersmith had a couple of answers for the home team.
Back-to-back goals, 7-3. Big differential in this game, face-offs, allowing Hopkins to control the ball to generate a big advantage in total shots, 23-16. Blue Jays have won 9 of the 12 face-offs, and Pierce Bassett has 8 saves.
So it'll be Ince against Delente again. Virginia tying a season low for first half goals. They only came up with 3 against Stony Brook. They would rally to win that game in overtime. There's a loose ball push to start the second half as we take a look at our impact players. And Quinn, I don't think anyone would think the Bratton brothers would combine for 0 points in the first half.
I tell you, this is 2 twins who've scored 26 goals so far this season. They average about 13 shots a game and 0 for 3. And what stands out there, they've only taken 3 shots. I mean, usually Chamel's good for 8 or 9 himself.
Especially against Johns Hopkins. Again, worth noting, 13 career goals in 4 meetings against Johns Hopkins. Right now, putting up the goose egg. Coppersmith feeling he can take LaPierre at will. This time he gives it up to Palmer.
Virginia smoked in that first half. Just some poor one-on-one defense. And that's a signature of Dom Stargey in this group. They've always played excellent perimeter defense.
Turnaround, fair play. This time it's Guida with the roll back against Ramel Bratton. And the Blue Jays strike first in the second half.
This is a defense that is hesitant to double team and slide because typically they do play great defense on the perimeter. But when I stop and you keep running and I turn to the goal, there is a lot to shoot at. Guida plants, Ramel Bratton runs right by, turn and let it rip.
Freshman out of Chatham, New Jersey gets his 7th goal of his young career. Johns Hopkins now has its biggest lead of the ball game. Benacasa back out there. And it's another violation call against the Cavs. We asked Dave Petramalo this week about the importance of face-offs, and he put it right up there as one of his main keys.
It's a key for Dom Stargey. You got to look your face-off specialists in the eye and say, guys, what's going on? you can't even make it a 50-50 ball so that our speedy wingers are getting involved. Delente is cleaning their clock to the point of the wing guys aren't even the factor.
Haydick loses it as Briggs poked it away. 2-on-1 ground ball. Briggs, look at the hustle coming up with it. That's LaPierre, excuse me. So now O'Reilly up ahead of everyone. Feed inside. Bouncer too high, but O'Reilly there for the backup. Bassett, the Blue Jays dodge a bullet on the 3-on-1. Now Briggs. Here's Chamel. Does he try to create a long shot? That one hit Leitner in the head. Virginia closest to the ball. The NCAA Hockey Championships presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car on ESPNU continues tonight with two finals. At 6:30 Eastern, the number 3 seed Minnesota Duluth Club takes on overall number 1 seed Yale in the East Regional Final. Then at 9 Eastern, the 4 seed Colorado College faces off against number 2 Michigan in the West Regional Final. Yale surviving last night in overtime against Air Force.
Their lacrosse team beating Princeton today in Ivy League action.
Cornell also a winner in the Ivy League over Penn in overtime. Hands free, not on Cage. Back up right there, feed inside. The behind the back doesn't work for Bachlet. Virginia starting to force the issue on offense. Stanwyck off the pick.
There's no question they need to play faster.
Oh, Briggs, what a move. Good check on the recovery by Riley.
Hopkins is going to fend off this as long as they can. They'll ultimately switch defense later on to a zone if they feel they're tiring.
Nick O'Reilly step down for Bachlet. Bassett. Good anticipation. Now Castronova.
Tell you, that was very shoddy location. There's not a goalie in the nation who wouldn't have made that stop. I mean, it's right at his midsection. As a goalie, though, Bassett this season he fills up the net so well. What is he, 6'3"? He's lanky, he's long. He moves from pipe to pipe. What I like about him is he doesn't guess. You can't read the emotions. I mean, he's like a Clark Kent type. He's got one emotion, and it's the same whether they're up 8-3, as they are right now, or whether they were down to 3 to Princeton. And I like how he's active around the goal as well. He's not great out of the goal, but he's good, and he makes three or four really solid plays to help his team earn possession.
Here's Rannigan with a step, hands free, shot not on Cage. So Quinn, as we take a look back at your keys to the game.
For Johns Hopkins, limit unsettled goals. They have done a nice job in that department. The Cavaliers have not been able to run from defense to offense. And then the ground ball war, which in this series in recent years has been tilted towards the Cavaliers. Not so today.
Bolin loses it. Now Virginia on the clear, and it's Briggs. Guida back on him. Now Chamel coming in through the box. Rannigan there to meet him. He loses him. Looking to pass, though, instead of shoot. Finds Bachlet, now gets it back. Now Ramel being guarded by Coppersmith. The bounce shot, the jump shot, but Bassett, he was good down low last week against Syracuse, ready for that one, but a good ride and a goal. Bachlet with the defense, Stanwyck with the offense.
Just as I started to sing the praises of Pierce Bassett as a guy who's making the little plays around the goal, and you see him point to himself in the chest. Now, okay, you made a mistake. No big deal. Get over it and make the next play. The mistake here is to throw an outlet pass through an attack player. Watch 10, Bachlet just gets his stick up in the passing lane. As a goalie there, you've got to move your feet, step around that attackman. Use the depth of your crease. Be like a quarterback in football and create a clear passing lane.
So Dom Starrs' club pulls within 4. Interesting strategy here now on the faceoff. Clements, number 2, comes up on the wing, and it's a violation on Delente. So here's Clements, the former midfielder, not coming off the field. Stanwyck splits the double, loses it on the pass. Clements is wide open. They're leaving him alone. Hesitant to pull the trigger, and now he'll come off. So now Virginia will make some substitutions.
Virginia's midfield defense today has not been good at all. Hopkins, all their goals except for one come from midfielders. And that was on an extra man. It's been all midfield domination by the Blue Jays.
So now here's the second midfield line that hasn't really seen a whole lot of playing time. Emery and Haldy have not had too many opportunities to mention their names, but a couple of sharpshooters out there for Dom Starsia. Haldy, number 12, with the ball, carrying. Roll back, gives it up to Emery. Now LaPierre. Stanwyck coming around, fakes the pass, feeds inside, catch made, goal. Stanwyck to Haldy. It's a 3-goal ball game.
That is by far a more finesseful pattern that we've seen from the first midfield, who seems content to go one-on-one and take 15-yard bombs. Miscommunication on defense. You see Donovan, 2 defenders here, approach Stanwyck. Not a good sign. That means someone's open. Great cut by Haldy. Playing without the ball. There's 1 ball, 6 guys on offense. Move without it. Good things happen.
Blue Jays ball watching on that one, and Haldy makes them pay. So Ensign Delente again at the X. Ince can't come up with one-handed. Now he does. Previs, though, loses it. Now Virginia on the clear. Briggs to O'Reilly, who loses it.
Been a lot of that.
Briggs can't play without his stick. So Hopkins will come up with it off the whistle.
Probably the worst place in America that you could push a guy in a Blue Jay jersey is right there in front of their bench and their fans.
You saying fans and coaches influence calls?
Oh,
Come on.
let me tell you.
So an errant turnover by Virginia gives it back.
Trouble.
They get it in the middle of the field. Durkin, Stanwyck hobbling a little bit there on the ride. So now Goodrich being guarded by LaPierre. They have not been bashful, taking it right to 44 when he's guarding the ball right now.
Subtle change by Virginia. Malfris now on the bench as the pole.
Catch made. How did that pass get through? And Bolin scores.
Roll dodge from X, has a step, draws the eyes of the defense. Bolin, nifty catch, finish on the backside. Yeah, that defensively is such a mistake. Palmer was not going to push and score a goal for himself.
As we take a look at today's Sector Spiders player portfolio, the career of Chris Bolin leads the team in goals. Back in 09, he led Johns Hopkins in scoring, thanks in large part to an 8-point effort against these Virginia Cavaliers, missed almost all of last year.
Yeah, 2 things noteworthy on that play. You don't want to slide to a player's eyes. And then offensively, Bolin does a nice job cutting that back post, where the defense, where the vacancy will ultimately show up.
So LaPierre comes up with the ground ball in the clear. Rob Emery with the ball. Quinn?
Yeah, perimeter pressure on defense hasn't happened. Hopkins has won the individual matchups. That's new in this series. The one-on-one matchups all over this field. Hopkins has won the little battles.
Emery has a cannon, looking to get it off. Chamel now looking to create, coming down that alley. Instead goes behind to Stanwyck. Now Bratton being guarded by Rannigan. See, he wants the ball. He wants that matchup, but Emery doesn't see him. Bachlick does now. Here's Bratton. Coming down the left. Gets his hands free, but can't put it on cage.
Dave Petramalo told us this week in breaking down tape of Chamel Bratton, number 1 in orange right there. He's got about 90 different scenarios of Chamel pushing to the goal. Most are heading down that left alley like he just did for a jump shot. And the others, he said, most dangerous is when he pushes right-handed, stops, and then rolls back for his left hand. It's amazing the amount of film study these coaches are doing now.
The quote from Coach Petramala, he is a bear to handle down the right. Now Stanwyck looking to draw out Rannigan, running the two-man game, goes to his right on Durkin. Looking for the inside roll. Good strength by 51. Now he's alone.
I like that, though. If you're Virginia, I like the fact that Stanwyck has the ball. Good things are going to happen.
Now Rannigan on defense. Haldy. This is Schimmel. Loses it. Ball comes right out of his stick, and there's two Blue Jays there, Riley and Michael, and now we got a whistle. Virginia will hold on to it. How many times has the ball just fallen out of a Virginia stick really for no reason? Here's Emery. He's not had too many chances to let it fly. O'Reilly. Bassett hit him right in the stomach. Tough angle shot. Bassett sucked it up. Now Castronova.
This is a
triple team.
Yeah, a turnover waiting to happen. Smart move.
Buys himself some time in an angle. Now it's Rannigan with a full head of steam at the rookie. Unsettled opportunity for Virginia. Palmer attacks. Who's going to win the race to the end line? It's Wharton and Johns Hopkins.
Big play by Wharton there, because that was an ugly one-handed wraparound shot after your defense dug in and played hard for 3 or 4 minutes. This is a time to possess, understand tempo and management.
And Palmer gives it right back for the moving pick call, the interference. So Virginia gets it back, down by 4 with 5:45 to play in the third quarter.
He played for Kevin Corrigan in Notre Dame. After that turnover, what would his reaction to the attack be? Would he point to his head like this and pound on his temples?
He'd have a few things to say. But you mentioned the key point. Your defense has been out there playing well for a long time. Give them a chance. You're up by 4. Bratton with the look. Again, Bassett having no problems with the high shots from way outside.
It's going to be body sore on Sunday.
Donovan the other way. So let's see how patient the Hopkins offense is now as they make some substitutions.
Typically, as a defensive player, that's where the veteran defenders would run up to that midfield line and say, hey, guys, we're tired, slow it down.
There are no veterans. 8 out of 10 starters are sophomores or freshmen. The veterans are on the offense. Boland and Wharton. So now Goodrich. Being guarded by Briggs. A couple of New England products here. Massachusetts against Rhode Island. Palmer gets a step on Clements. Now backs it up. Goodrich brings out McWilliams. There's a stall warning on Johns Hopkins. Boland with Briggs behind. Johns Hopkins has to keep it in the box.
First of the day. It's a new seasonal record.
Last week they played deliberate. They played patient, and they almost came up with the upset. Today they're in attack mode. And now could be a turnover here. Ramel Bratton runs right over it. And they get a whistle on Johns Hopkins. So Ramel, oh, what a move there.
This is trouble.
Ankle breaking. But now he backs it up and tries to run a set.
Virginia now on the day shooting 5 of 28. And prior to this, they're a 33% shooting team, one of the best in the country. They have been all over the yard in terms of their accuracy. Bachlet, no success. The Brattons, 0 for.
But when they ran a play, it worked to perfection. They found Haldy wide open in the middle. When they just stop and shoot from Charles Street, it's going to work to the advantage of Bassett.
Got to credit the perimeter defense, sticking the gloves. Hopkins has been in good position for the most part, contesting every shot.
Briggs with a wheel and deal. Can't put it on Cage.
Great example right there at the last second. The check came in.
Now O'Reilly. Stanwyck being guarded by Durkin. Here comes the pick play. Durkin fights through it, comes up with the check. Step down. Briggs can't catch it. Castronova comes up with the ground ball but loses it to Briggs. Bachlet can't pick it up. Smith.
Who's got more jerseys on the ball?
There's a late hit, not a late hit, excuse me, but interference on Durkin as he bumped Bachlet after Smith already had the ball. So giving it back to Virginia. Once your teammate picks up the ball, you cannot hit a player. So that's the interference call. The number 2 team in the country with the ball, Virginia, down by 4. On the road at Homewood Field against number 12, Johns Hopkins. This is Old Spice College Lacrosse on ESPNU. Eamon McEnany along with Quint Kesenick. Virginia in orange. Rob Emery, the freshman, drills his teammate with that shot, Nick O'Reilly. So the Hopkins defense being tested again. Stanwyck goes to the crease, number 6, as O'Reilly goes to work.
Good bumping Jack Riley, defender up top to cover one of the Brattons.
Time, room, bullseye. You can only chase for so long.
Well, confusion. When complexity gets in your way as a defender, you got problems. And this is just a fundamental breakdown. A double, and look at this. One of the 2 defenders has that responsibility. That looked like the Princeton game times 8. For the most part, this Hopkins young defense has done a spectacular job today, holding Virginia to 6 at the end of the 3rd quarter.
It's similar to the goal, Palmer to Boland. Why are you doubling on that? Why are you sliding on that, creating
I'm not sure.
Right.
Again.
So Ince with the clean win. He gets rid of it. Here's a shot and a goal. Quickly, the Cavaliers are back within 2.
Six seconds. Ince will be sent back on. Pops it out the front end. Left-handed. Stanwyck, one motion, catch and shoot.
Ince, a Canadian who prepped in America at the Salisbury School in Connecticut. Oakville, Ontario. Part of that incredible senior class.
Looked like Delente flinched, and looks like
Rannigan out there now.
Rannigan flinched.
And Stanwyck comes up with it. Here's Bachlet. So a critical possession here. The final minute of the 3rd quarter. Emery out of the box. He cranks one up and picks a spot. Three goals in 34 seconds warrants a Johns Hopkins timeout. The players in orange are flying. The Blue Jays on their heels.
Probably pretty much everybody.
The freshman from St. Ignatius Prep, one of the deadliest shooters already in the country, makes it a 1-goal ball game. So that was the scene here at halftime. The young players getting a chance to take the field at historic Homewood Field. And now the big boys from Charlottesville have pulled within 1. And really because of the little things, it all adds up.
Wow, ground balls in that quarter. Virginia turning up the heat a bit, winning some face-offs. 3 goals in 34 seconds. A blown coverage on defense. A win off a face-off. A great shot by Rob Emery. Next thing you know, new ball game.
So a trend being broken here, but Castronova had an angle. Not really sure what happened. Did Clemens pick that shot up out of the air? Either way, Virginia has the ball, and here's Malfris. So now, as we approach 40 seconds left in the third quarter, Virginia has scored 5 of the last 6 goals, and at one point had 3 in 34 seconds. Schimmel lets it fly. We are tied.
Signature runoff. Youth of Hopkins. Apparent. Late sub by Johns Hopkins. It was a momentary 6-on-5. You see Donovan last moment there coming in from the substitution box. Castronova had 2. And Bratton, after a slow 3 quarters, feeling it.
And Quint, they're changing their angles on their shots too. They're getting good looks, don't get me wrong, but that was a shot that Pierce Bassett had not seen from Schimmel Bratton yet at that angle, that level. LaPierre with the ground ball off the faceoff as Ince makes it a 3-on-3 game instead of 1-on-1.
You know, this is almost exactly what Virginia did in their win a couple weeks ago against Cornell. You know, we saw them, they had a lead against Syracuse at halftime. They faded in the second half. Schimmel Bratton had 2 goals. Their offense kind of lost their flow and their rhythm. A couple weeks later, then we saw them against Cornell. I thought they played a great second half in that ball game.
Having some trouble on the clear here. Clemens can't make the catch. Donovan there for the ground ball, but the quarter will come to an end. A quarter that saw the number 2 team in the country come alive. Dave Petramala has to come up with some answers for the fourth quarter. It should be an entertaining one from Homewood. The stage is set for a classic here at Homewood Field as we take a look at the game summary. Virginia coming alive in the third quarter.
Hopkins had led 4-0 and 8-3. Next thing you know, great quarter by Virginia, 6-2 in goals and face-offs. Virginia 6-3 in that quarter. Shots just dominating, 19-5. This game changed radically all of a sudden at the 9-5 mark.
Steele Stanwyck already with 6 points. Ince pushes it forward. Castronova there for Hopkins, but Briggs there for the ground ball.
You get one chance at it at this elite Division I level. You're typically going to get your arms severed off at the elbows, whether you get it or not. So you may as well scoop it.
Spoken like a true coach, Quint. Virginia turning the tables on all the statistical categories. As Schimmel took the shot there. Face-offs lead to ground balls, lead to runs. So simple.
Playing with much more pep in their step now, too, after really kicking the ball around quite a bit in that first half.
So now they're short-sticking O'Reilly, number 29, trying to shut him off. Bumping a pole up on Ramel. Now Briggs being guarded by Castronova. Good defense by Castronova. What a clean takeaway. Now, with a step, 4-on-3. Good recovery defense by Briggs to get back. Castronova didn't want to make the pass. Flag is down, so a free possession for Wharton. He rings that one off the pipe. Smart play by Donovan, but Clemens comes up with the hustle play. So McWilliams goes to the penalty box on the slash call. Castronova came in with 6 caused turnovers. This is just great one-on-one defense.
Well-timed poke. A phantom poke, perhaps, but it worked nonetheless.
Here's Wharton, the sniper.
And Wharton knows that there's a flag down. It's a free opportunity for him. Penalties. So I mentioned it early. Virginia with a lot of penalties this year. It hasn't burnt them. As you said earlier, their man-down unit.
It's 2 of 32 coming in. The Blue Jays have been successful today. A huge moment for them right now as they've been stuck on 9 for a while. Here's Palmer. They're looking for Goodrich in the middle.
Nice defense by Virginia, very quick and active.
Palmer finds him, but he can't make the catch. Alfers can't come up with it. Clemens pushed it, touched it with his hand, no call. and it doesn't really matter because Wharton comes up with it anyway. Step down for Guida, hit somebody in the noggin. So 9 seconds left on the extra man.
Tom Starsia told us the man down defense key this year, quickness and foot speed. Almost kind of like Syracuse in basketball, their 2-3 zone, the way they move.
Alfers comes out. Goodrich makes the catch and shoot there, but he can't put it on cage as the penalty's released. Hopkins will hold on to the ball as they try to stop this run. It's been all Virginia since it was 9-5. But Hopkins hasn't really had a long, drawn-out possession in a long time. Guida being guarded by Briggs. Ranigan. Now again, number 9, John Greeley, not out there with this number 1 midfield unit, so it's Coppersmith. Greeley hit hard by Matt Lovejoy. Has not returned since. But Coppersmith has 2 goals. Lovejoy caught up, but Bolin can't take advantage. He gets undercut. So, Quinn, how important is line play and line chemistry? Coppersmith's been working with Madick and Goodrich all year. Now he's out there with Ranigan and Guida.
Hopkins runs the same patterns from line to line. Shouldn't be a problem, but there are little subtleties.
Here's Ranigan, the sophomore at Yorktown Heights.
Little subtle spacing issues that can creep up.
Here's Palmer.
Spacing and timing.
Wharton's got a short stick on him, and he goes right to Briggs. Now Palmer gets it back. He's looking to shoot too high.
Drop down low. Defender kind of lowered his level with him, and then Palmer straight overhand over the top. It was a strange looking release.
This possession seems to have a more critical feel to it than one with almost 11 minutes left in a tie ball game. Good play by Lovejoy to lift the stick, but he went over. Doesn't matter since Guida came up with the possession. Now unsettled. Guida in the open field shoots, and Gittleman makes the save. He's got Bratton out in the middle of the field. Bratton in open space. Coppersmith showing off that speed, gets back.
That's a great example of why Hopkins is going to be a little better this year. Guy like Guida running up to the midfield line, making a play. You see the speed and the athleticism. Same thing with Coppersmith getting in the hole, the speed he showed.
Stanwyck on the restart. Wait for Emery to get on the field. There he comes. He's starting to feel it after he ripped one in there in the third. Nick O'Reilly again being guarded by the short stick. This time it's Ranigan. So a little different look here.
O'Reilly and Bachlet with shorts. They're bumping 3 poles to cover the first midfield right now.
That's a lot of respect for Rob Emery and John Haldy. Ken O'Reilly or Bachlet make them pay. Maryland tried this last year at College Park, and Bachlet made them pay. Now Bachlet's trying to back up Coppersmith. Instead, they get it to Stanwyck. Under 10 minutes to play here at Homewood Field. All tied at 9. Number 2 Virginia against number 12 Johns Hopkins. Virginia looking for its 7th straight win over the Blue Jays. Stanwyck, Durkin. Stanwyck keeps coming. Flag up in the air.
Here we go again. Is it a dive? Is it a push?
Hey, I just lost the game.
No need to read lips on that one. I just lost a game to Syracuse on the same call. Did we pick that up?
Well, the mechanics of this call, the near side official has the push part of it because he can see where Durkin makes contact with Stanwyck at side. Not sure it was ever from the rear. The far official, because he's coming towards him, has whether it's a crease violation or not. Contact from the side is legal. From behind, not so much.
So Virginia with the extra man opportunity in a tie ball game in the 4th quarter. Emery. Unbelievable. He is a sniper.
Perhaps his most impressive shot of the season, not because of velocity. He actually takes a hair off this one to make sure he gets it right. Catch, cradle, shuffle step, and you pop that one offside hip. There's not a goalie on the planet who can make that save. Even Jesse Schwartz, when he's playing in Major League Lacrosse, you ain't getting there. 90 miles an hour away from the stick to that offside hip.
So the freshman from San Francisco gives Virginia its first lead of the ball game. Apparently his younger brother Matt, just a sophomore, might be just as good. Put on quite a show at the Jesuit Classic, the high school tournament in Houston, Texas last week. Schools already lining up to recruit his younger brother Matt. North Carolina, Virginia, Cornell interested. Fordham Prep out of the Bronx, led by Holy Cross-bound Chris Smith, also playing well at that Jesuit Classic. So now Virginia with the lead now. How do the Cavaliers play with the lead?
Down 9-5, they have dominated this ball game. Kind of a late burst of energy on face-offs and ground balls. Hopkins, a youthful team. I haven't been in this situation very many times.
Haldy to O'Reilly. Here's a look. Good closeout defense by Smith. Haldy goes and gets it. Eight minutes left to play. Virginia now hit with a stall warning. You do not see that every day with the Cavaliers. Haldy, feet inside, catch made. Bassett denies White. I think he got that one with his feet because he jumped up in the air expecting the high shot.
He was absolutely smoked with his hands and his eyes and showed the body control to bring those toes and those heels together. Nice cut by White. It's twice today that when Virginia drives a corner and cuts opposite, they've gotten some good offense going. I see that logo on the back of your helmet, Eamon. I'm cutting you. I'm cutting you. Ball watch. I'm going to cut.
Giving me bad flashbacks talking about Coach Corrigan being upset and me ball watching. I'm going back in time here, Quinn. I think you're going to make me run sprints before this one's all over. Coppersmith. Under 7 minutes to play now. Hopkins needs an answer. Coppersmith with space. Makes a move. And we are tied again. A hat trick for number 16.
This is a ridiculous split dodge. Look at him set it up. Whoop. LaPierre approaches. Little crossover right to left. Separation straight over the top. That's a Warrior procession. Fans on their feet.
So just 2 goals a year ago, 3 coming into this one. He now has 3 today. So a career high as Ince, though, comes up with the face-off win. And the Blue Jays are coming up with the ball.
Nice try by Ince.
Now all of a sudden it's the players in white jumping up and down with enthusiasm. Tonight at 11:30 Eastern on ESPNU, the NCAA Hockey Championships presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car continues with the Northeast Regional Semifinal as the 3-seed Notre Dame takes on the 2-seed Merrimack. Number 2 in a street fight right here in college lacrosse. Number 1 Syracuse tonight on the road in Villanova. Coming up next here on ESPNU, number 4 New Hampshire against Miami of Ohio, the top seed, as the college hockey continues. Key crown ball here. Nice pickup by Clements. Burkhart and Goodrich back. LaPierre sends it to the attack. Stanwyck has Durkin caught up. Shamel Bratton wanted it. Stanwyck attacks Bassett, shoots at the empty net. That is the definition of a crafty lacrosse player. He grew up practicing on this field with his parents and brothers and sisters, and he returns to give Virginia the lead again.
Steele Stanwyck lives about 5 blocks to the left on University Parkway. Bassett's got to get him before he gets to goal line extended. Stanwyck just approaches and peels off, and he knows his options. 7 points.
Every Sunday, he was telling us this week, family would go to church and then right to Homewood to play. Telling us how much he looked forward to it. You mentioned how close they live. I asked him if they walked as a family. He said, no, actually, we were pretty lazy. That was our lazy part of the day. We all drove, loaded up the family truckster. But Wharton comes up with the ground ball now. Under 5.5 to play. Does Hopkins have another answer? Last time it was Coppersmith.
Remember that last possession, a bad turnover in the corner on a flip.
Here is Coppersmith, the sophomore out of Florida, already has 3. Guida being guarded by Bobby Hill in a matchup of freshmen. Who initiates the offense? It looks like it's 16. Draws the slide. Guida loses Lovejoy, and we are tied again. Back and forth we go as the freshman from Jersey beats Gittleman.
Getting your money's worth today. Coppersmith's got the hat trick, draws the defense. Guida changed the direction, left-handed. The young kid can play. I'll tell you, young kids on both these teams can play. Guys like Rob Emery, freshman, Rob Guida, freshman.
So now a critical face-off with 4:49 to play.
That's an elbow by Ince. You're not allowed to use your elbow to help your clamp, to pin down the stick.
6-on-5 for a while until Ramel Bratton gets back out there, but Delente comes off the field as well. So we'll settle things down until we get the offensive personnel that Coach Dave Petramalo wants out there. It'll be Goodrich, Madick, and Burkhart.
To Ince's defense, Garrett Ince is a senior. That is a rule change this year. In the past,
Palmer, catch made. What a save by Gittleman on Boland, but we're going to have a penalty. Boland down on the ground.
Number 30, Virginia, slash, 1 minute. Come on, Wyatt, let's go.
So it's a slash on Malfris. Now, Quinn, as you were telling us earlier, it's not where you hit. What'd you think on that replay? Coach Starger, we heard he said no way. But right now it's a key extra man opportunity for the home team.
Me here, me, Scott, me, Scott, push out.
There's Wharton. Now Goodrich cuts. Wharton gets his hands free, but a good check at the end there by Wyatt Meltzer, but he can't make the catch.
I mentioned slashing earlier. It's swinging a cross at an opponent's cross or body with deliberate viciousness or reckless abandon, regardless of whether the opponent's cross or body is struck. So it is strictly deliberate viciousness or reckless abandon. Contact sold separately. Now, obviously, if you hit the guy in the shoulders, the back, the neck, the head, the thigh, the knee.
Boland. Now Wharton. They're looking for Goodrich inside, looking for a little bit of a space to open up. Boland scored from there earlier on the extra man. He lets one fly again, can't put it on cage. With 9 seconds left in the extra man, 3:24 in the game in regulation. Will we have bonus lacrosse? Palmer, skip pass, Boland, step down, the bouncer. Not on cage, but Hopkins there for the backup. 4 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Wharton. Here's Boland. Penalty released. Wharton just too high. So we are all even now. 6-on-6 lacrosse. We're all even at 11. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left to play. Someone's taking a timeout. Virginia. Dom Starja on defense wants to make sure everyone's on the same page. We're tied at Homewood. Welcome back to Old Spice College Lacrosse. Virginia, Johns Hopkins locked up at 11. 3:12 left to play. Johns Hopkins has the ball. Quint, so what do you think Dom Starja wanted to get across in that timeout there that he took?
I think he just wanted to give his defense a breather after killing off that penalty. The freshman Rob Emery, St. Ignatius outside San Francisco, outside flamethrower. Coppersmith has the hat trick, and he's been unbelievable. Stanwyck from behind, 11-10 Virginia lead. And then Guida, the freshman, little quicks on a feed from Coppersmith. We're tied up at 11. Fans have been on their feet throughout. This game has caught us off guard at the beginning with the Hopkins 4-0 run in the first quarter, and got to give Virginia credit. They battled back late stages of the third quarter, 3 goals in 34 seconds, toe-to-toe.
Great crowd on hand here on a sunny March afternoon in Baltimore. The number 12 team in the country has the ball against the number 2 team in the country. Coppersmith draws the slide. Boland coming around. So now Rannigan being guarded by LaPierre.
He's drawn the pole, the long stick defense most of the day. He hasn't had many reps.
Coppersmith. Now Palmer. Back up to Rannigan. Rannigan coming down the alley. Next shot has to be a good one if you're Dave Petramala and the Blue Jays. Now Coppersmith being guarded by Ramel Bratton. Good one-on-one defense by number 3 right there.
Virginia digging in. Excellent perimeter defense by LaPierre and Ramel Bratton.
LaPierre going way out on Rannigan. Alfres on the early slide. There you see the stall warning. Johns Hopkins now has to keep it in the box. Does that tempt Virginia to come out and pressure the ball even more? Guida looking to invert LaPierre. Johns Hopkins has a timeout left. Coppersmith loses Bratton momentarily. The roll back to his left. I don't think Gittleman ever saw that one, but it wasn't on cage. Again, they still have to keep it in the box, even though the shot. .148 to play. Guida now, LaPierre. Feed inside, catch made, and a goal. It's Boland. Freshman, the senior. Hopkins has the lead.
The sense to find the softness in the defense. Guida shake and bake, draws the eyes. Boland gets inside.
Boland has the hat trick. After Boland and Wharton came up with zeros against Syracuse, the coach had to sit down with his veteran attack and said, we need more out of you.
You mentioned the timeout situation. Both teams with the timeout. Hopkins will take a defensive posture on this faceoff.
Valente against Ince. It's Briggs and Malfors on the wing against Smith and Castronova. Ince wins it back to himself and comes up with the ground ball. Looking for a safety valve, he finds Clements. Does Dom Starja call a timeout? Briggs, full head of steam quickly, runs through one guy, runs through a second guy, and Dom takes the timeout before Briggs gets the shot off. 1:25 left to play. The number 2 team in the country, down by a goal, but has the ball. Quint, what are you drawing up in there? Do you start with your midfield or Steele Stanwick?
Yeah, if you look at what's worked today, it's been more of an offense from behind the goal. I think they should start it up top with a midfield dodge, which is a dummy dodge, down the side, get the ball to Stanwick and let him create from behind. That has been more effective today. The Brattons have been held in check, relatively speaking, because Hopkins is selling out. Stanwick, crafty little finish from inside off the pick-off by Bachlet on the fast break. He's the point man on the fast break. Let it rip. You love that play where the defender's caught out of the net. You know, he's hung up, and Stanwick makes him pay. Big point totals for Steele Stanwick.
They have dropped the puck, New Hampshire and the number 1 seed Miami of Ohio. In the NCAA Hockey Championships, we will get you to that one as soon as we have a conclusion here today.
Now, if you're Johns Hopkins, Dave Petramala has a zone. He's got a man-to-man package with about 3 or 4 variations and slides. They have a zone that they haven't shown today. Virginia, to me, is a good team offensively against the zone because you have good passers. So I'm not sure. In other scenarios, other games, if I were Dave Petramala, I'd switch things up and I'd go to that 3-3 zone. We'll see what he does here. That is an option.
An update from the hockey quickly. Miami of Ohio out in front with an early goal. The number 1 seed leads that one 1-0. So both the timeouts are over. Both teams back out on the field.
Or even a junk defense. You could take Stanwick out of it. You put a short stick on him and face guard him and play a 5-man defense, hoping to take Virginia out of their set play.
So Smith goes out on Briggs.
Now Hopkins will be, looks like a zone right here.
So Virginia now decides to start the ball with Schimmel, and they're going to move Emery up top. So Briggs, Emery, and Schimmel, your middies out there with O'Reilly, Bachlet, and Stanwick.
Pack it in. Hope your goalie can make a stop on an outside shot.
Virginia was in a similar situation on the road against Syracuse, and they quickly turned it over. Now Emery to Briggs, trying to draw that Hopkins defense out. Stanwick. Briggs going at Castronova. Skip past to Bratton. He can't make the catch. Huge turnover by the Cavs with 45 seconds left to play. The chuck and duck.
Too early for that.
Palmer's going to win the race. Does it stay in bounds? What a play by Zach Palmer. A pickup by Clements, so we're going the other way. Virginia out of timeouts with under 30 seconds to play. Bachlet, the skip pass to Bratton with 25. Bratton loses his footing momentarily with 20. Bratton against the freshman, hands free. Good recovery check by Jack Riley. Dave Petramala with 12 seconds left. Wants to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Now you said too early on the chuck and duck.
Too early. You got 30 seconds you're working against.
But if you're in
clock is irrelevant, run to safety. Get the ball to your goalie, have your middies work back. That's not the time to panic. You clear to a victory. You don't chuck the ball to a victory. If there were 10 seconds to go, I'd say, yeah, send it. 15, maybe even send it. But with there 40 or so on the turnover, it's a lot of time.
Johns Hopkins has a 1-goal lead, courtesy of the senior number 32, Chris Boland. A hat trick for the veteran.
Boland up top when they're 3-3 extra man set. Great accuracy, beats Gettleman to the off-stick side. Good cut. Just a kid who knows how to play the game. He's very instinctual. He makes excellent decisions. High lacrosse IQ.
He's today's Maverick player of the game, and worth noting, as Coach Petramala did to us this week, the brace just came off. Dealing with missed almost all of last year with the knee brace. The knee brace came off against Syracuse. And today he had 3. But now it's up to the Johns Hopkins defense to snap a 6-game losing streak to the Cavs. It's the same lineup out there for Virginia. Bratton, Emery, and Briggs, your middies. Bocklet, O'Reilly, and it starts in the stick of number 6, Steele Stanwyck, with 12 seconds. O'Reilly, Bocklet looking to step in. He gets to O'Reilly. Save made by Bassett. Briggs on the rebound. There's the shot. Denied. There's the wheel and turn, and it's over. The defense stands tall, and Johns Hopkins defeats Virginia 12-11. Once again, our final score, Johns Hopkins 12, Virginia 11. Coming up next, NCAA Hockey Championships, New Hampshire against Miami. This has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now let's send you out to Manchester, New Hampshire.